Commuter e-bikes aren't just about speed or range. The real test is how they handle everyday hassles like tight parking, rough roads, and awkward turns. And after riding the Troxus Trax LT IQ around for a while, that is actually where this bike starts making sense. The way steering feels, torque sensor responds, even the way the brakes slow the bike down smoothly. Those smaller details kind of become the whole experience of this bike. So let's get in the details. Now usually we start with talking about the frame, design, or the motor. But today we're actually going to start somewhere completely different. Because one of the most interesting things about this bike isn't just the hardware component at all. It's the Ride IQ system that sits behind it. And that makes a lot of sense. A lot of e-bike apps are basically digital dashboards. You open them, check a few numbers, and that's about it. Ride IQ feels much more involved than that. The first thing we noticed was how much control it gives you over the ride itself. You can adjust pedal assist characteristics, fine-tune power delivery, and even switch between Class 2 and Class 3 settings when local regulations allow. That means you're not stuck with a single factory setup. If you want a more relaxed ride around town, you can dial things back. If your daily commute changes and you want a little more performance, the bike can adapt with you. Then there is the battery side of things, which honestly gets overlooked on a lot of e-bikes. Ride IQ goes beyond showing a simple battery percentage. You can check battery health, charge cycles, remaining capacity, temperature data, range estimates, and even charging information. For people who plan to keep an e-bike for years rather than months, those details become surprisingly valuable because they help you understand how the battery is aging over time. We also found ourselves using the phone display feature more than expected. Instead of relying only on the bike screen, your phone can become a larger display for ride information. It sounds simple, but on longer rides it gives you a much clearer view of what is happening with the bike. And then there are the convenience features. The bike can recognize your phone as you approach, power itself on, and be ready to ride. Firmware updates happen wirelessly, which means new improvements can arrive without dealership visits or complicated update procedures. Of course, security is still a major part of the package. GPS tracking, geofencing, tamper alerts, battery removal notifications, remote disable functions, and location tracking all add an extra layer of confidence whenever the bike is parked. But after spending time with the system, what impressed us most was not any single feature. It was how all these pieces work together. Ride IQ doesn't feel like an accessory attached to the bike. It feels like a platform that actively improves how you ride, how you maintain the bike, and how you manage it every day. Now let's look around the bike a bit. First, the frame itself has a pretty clean shape. It is a hydroformed aluminum step-through frame, and visually it looks more refined than a lot of bulky urban e-bikes. The battery integration also looks pretty natural. It does not feel like they just attached a giant battery tube onto the frame afterward. The wheel setup is 27.5 inches with 2.2-inch Kenda tires. And honestly, this size makes sense immediately once you start riding. It rolls smoother than smaller commuter wheels, but still keeps the bike agile enough for tighter city movement. Now looking up front, you have a zoom suspension fork with 65 millimeters of travel. And this is not some super soft mountain bike suspension setup. It feels tuned more for pavement cracks, rough roads, sidewalks, and everyday city stuff. The cockpit setup actually feels nice too. The handlebar has a pretty noticeable back sweep, so your wrists naturally sit at a relaxed angle. Then the ergonomic grips and this wide DDK comfort saddle kinda complete that whole commuter setup. You sit upright naturally instead of leaning aggressively forward. And honestly, once you sit on it, the bike immediately feels approachable, especially because the step-through frame makes getting on and off really easy during traffic stops. Now over here on the left side controls, you have the assist buttons, light controls, horn, turn signals, and settings access. Then the Color Ride IQ display sits right in the center, and visibility outdoors actually looks pretty good. On the right side, you get the throttle and additional controls, and thankfully, nothing feels overcrowded. Then around the rear, you have the integrated rack, rear light, fenders, and the Shimano Altus 8-speed drivetrain. And honestly, hydraulic brakes at this price still feel like a really good decision. Tektro hydraulic brakes with 180mm rotors front and rear immediately give the bike a more serious feel compared to cheaper mechanical setups. Alright, let's ride it. Right now we're in pedal assist level 1. The assistance feels light and natural, and it's easy to cruise at about 11 to 12 miles per hour without much effort. Push a little harder on the pedals and you'll see 14 or 15. But this mode is really about efficiency and relaxed riding. Now let's move into level 2. Here, you will notice more support from the motor. Starts feel quicker. Maintaining 15 to 17 miles per hour takes less effort, and the bike settles into a really comfortable commuting rhythm. Now let's go all the way up. And yeah, this is where the bike feels most awake. Getting to 20 miles per hour comes easily, and on flatter roads with some momentum behind you, you can push a bit beyond that. Even at higher assist levels though, the motor stays predictable and controlled, which makes the extra speed feel easy to manage rather than overwhelming. And what we like is that the bike still feels stable at these speeds. It does not suddenly feel twitchy or nervous. Now, something interesting here is the switchable torque and cadence sensor modes. Right now we are in cadence mode, and you can feel that classic e-bike behavior where the motor kinda wants to keep things easy constantly. But once you switch into torque mode, the bike suddenly feels more connected to your legs. The harder you pedal, the more natural the assist responds. Honestly, torque mode makes the bike feel much more bicycle-like overall. Now let's talk range a bit. The battery is a 48-volt 10 amp-hour setup with Samsung cells, which gives you 480 watt-hours total. Troxus says up to 55 miles per charge, and honestly, that number depends heavily on how you ride. If you stay in lower assist levels and pedal actively, yeah, you can definitely stretch range pretty far. But obviously, if you stay in the highest assist mode constantly and use throttle a lot, range will drop faster. Still, for everyday commuting, this feels pretty practical overall. Honestly, this is the kind of bike where the smaller ride details matter more than raw speed. Like right now, just leaning into corners, the bike feels lighter underneath you than most commuter e-bikes. Steering feels easier, direction changes happen quicker, and low-speed balance feels very natural. And because the frame is not overly heavy, the whole bike reacts quicker when moving through tighter areas or weaving around obstacles. Now let's hit this rougher section here. Yeah, the suspension and tires definitely help smooth things out. The 65mm fork takes the edge off rough pavement nicely, and those 2.2-inch tires add enough cushioning where your hands are not constantly absorbing sharp impacts. Even on uneven paths or rougher surfaces, the bike still feels composed. Now braking. So let's get up to speed a little first. Okay, now hard braking. Yeah, these Tektro hydraulic brakes feel really good, honestly. Strong stopping power, but more importantly, smooth control. The bike slows down progressively instead of suddenly diving forward. And because the brake sensors instantly cut motor power, stopping feels very natural. Then after riding for a while, you start appreciating how relaxed the whole bike feels. The upright position stays comfortable, the saddle feels supportive during longer rides, and even the grips help reduce wrist pressure more than expected. So after spending time with the Troxus Trax LT IQ, honestly, the biggest thing this bike gets right is balance. It feels lighter without feeling stripped down and comfortable enough without becoming lazy. And it gives you smart features without turning the whole riding experience into a gadget demo. In fact, what impressed us most is that Ride IQ never feels like technology added for the sake of technology. Every feature solves an actual ownership problem. And when all of those little conveniences stack together, the bike simply feels more modern than most commuter e-bikes we have tested. The smooth 500-watt motor, hydraulic brakes, upright geometry, and manageable 57-pound frame all work together in a way that simply feels easy to live with every day. And honestly, once you start riding it around real streets instead of just looking at specs, that is where this bike starts making the most sense. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more e-bike reviews.